Hello there. Today I'm doing an en-primeur tasting of the wines of Domaines Delon. So the Delon family own a number of properties. They own Chateau Nenin and Pomerol, they own Leoville-Las Cases and Saint-Julien, and they own Chateau Potensac, which is in the Médoc. So Chateau Potensac for a long time had been seen as a very traditional, old-fashioned sort of style of, should we say, claret, to use an old English word. Dominantly Cabernet Sauvignon, very structured, perhaps a little austere, and then from a period from the late 90s onwards, I think they planted an additional amount of Merlot there in the hope of giving a bit more richness and generosity to the wine. Subsequently, I think they found that the Merlot wasn't really working for them in Potensac, and most of that had now been uprooted. So we're back to this more sort of lean, perhaps austere, Cabernet Sauvignon dominated style of Potensac. So this is a Cabernet Sauvignon dominated wine with 45% of the blend being Cabernet Sauvignon. There's still 33% of Merlot in the blend, but the balance, the remaining 22%, is made up of Cabernet Franc. The wine will age in French oak with about 15% of the barrels being new, and that'll probably stay in there for a year in total. It's now being April, it's probably spent the last 4 months maturing in oak, so it probably has another 8 months to go. So let's have a look at the wine, shall we? See what we make of it. First of all, looking at the colour, there is a really good intensity of dark black purple sort of colour. There's a vivid purple note to the rim, and as I swirl the wine, it's staining the glass. It's creating some quite obvious tears on the side of the glass. There's certainly a density to the wine, although it's not completely opaque. So let's see what we make of the aroma, shall we? On the nose, the fruit aromas are a little restrained. You start to see some hints of violet, and then those are followed by black fruit. And I'd associate that with black currant fruit. It's that sort of riper than cassis sort of side of the black curranty spectrum. There's no leafiness in the nature of those. I suspect there's been quite a lot of selections gone on in the vineyard to ensure that unripe fruit doesn't make its way into the wine. It's an elegant, delicate nose that's just starting to show hints of sweet spice at the end there from the oak it's aging in. So let's have a taste, shall we? I was talking about the classic style of Potensac as being quite austere. Instantly, I've got good freshness, a fine structure, seemingly quite good grip, and yet at the same time, not astringency. I'm not having my mouth dried out, but there are fine gripping tannins there. Instead of being drying, there's actually a mouth-watering nature. That lovely freshness is giving a juiciness, and that's where I'm seeing really lovely, vivid blackcurrant fruit. Close behind that, there are some delicate cedary notes. They're not particularly intense then, and they're certainly not out of balance. They're well in harmony with the fruit. There's the tiniest little hint of chocolatiness, but it's not enough to overcome the austere, quite formal style of the wine. The tannins are providing a structure that's clearly going to last for 5 to 10 years very happily. And I think maybe this wine, along with some of its siblings here, go a long way for me to suggesting that 2024 isn't necessarily a vintage that can be written off by saying that these will be a vintage of pleasant wines for drinking in the short to mid-term. This is a wine whose fine structure and good acidity should enable it to develop and keep showing this lively fruit for at least 10 years and probably longer. I think there's a very large part of a return to the old style of Potensac in this wine. Having said that, this is also a wine that shows some good modern winemaking. There's no sign of unripeness in this fruit. Clearly there's some careful selection that's gone on, and the purity and the focus of the dark fruit flavours that are lasting very well on what is quite a structured, tannic, but not astringent finish are very impressive. This is a nicely handled wine that will age beautifully. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you found the video of interest. If you've enjoyed it, please press the like button. If you'd like to watch more videos, do do please sign up and subscribe to our channel. That would be great to have your support there. If you have any comments, please pop those in the comments box below. And if you have any friends you think might like to watch this video, do please pass it on. We'd really appreciate your support in that way. I'll leave a link in the notes below to the Wine Searcher webpage for this vintage of this wine, so that you can find out where it's available, when it's available, and at what price. And do also use those pages to find out more about the wine. There will be some winemaking notes there. There will be price information, so that once the wines are released, you can compare pricing, see where it's available, and hopefully this will help you to make an informed buying decision if you're interested. So thank you so much for watching, and I do hope you'll come and join me as I taste some more of the en-primeur 2024's Bordeaux in the very near future. Till then, bye for now.